Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Chelsea. I'm just a lady with a bulldog, a camera, and too many opinions. If you enjoy my content and other content like it, you most likely have already watched or have it on your list to watch on Netflix, a limited series called Apple Cider Vinegar. Now today we're not necessarily going to be going over or reviewing that series, but we are going to be going over the entire concept of it. When influencers promote and push misinformation so much that it actually puts them in the grave. No. That's not how I want to say that. The misinformation they shared had them eating lunch with Jesus. I can't say that. Due to promoting misinformation, they got a fast pass straight to hell. I can't say that either. That's not good, Chelsea. That's mean. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. These influencers or public figures spread misinformation, medical misinformation, dangerous medical misinformation, and then due to either just them being brainwashed and believing it or being in denial or just their ego itself, it actually ended up potentially being the cause of their own demise. That's a better way to say that. Now, just a quick disclaimer. I do deal with things in a silly, goofy way. And obviously these are very serious topics. So I do want to make that clear. In my family, we have literally, we always joke that all of us have cancer, but there's lots of cancer. Listen, we're pretty on the outside, but we're held together with popsicle sticks and gum on the inside. Ugh. But what my mom always says is that we have tumor humor. And that, in our opinion, definitely helps us deal with hey, I want to laugh about this. I don't want to cry about this. I want to have a good time. So that's okay if that's not how you deal with that. I'm obviously not going to be making fun of these people because all of these situations are absolutely horrible. Personally, in my opinion, the other people that they potentially influenced and harmed is even more horrible than these people passing away. I know that sounds bad and it's obviously very sad, but get it together. Now, also, even if you are a public figure and you aren't necessarily promoting, selling your juices or your fasting program or whatever, you still do have to be conscious of what you're putting out there. And even if you're, not directly, like I said, monetizing this or telling people to do this, you do have an audience, you do have eyes on you. And it is so important to be aware of that and understand that people look up to you. They're going to see that you're talking about this or whatever. You believe this, then okay. You can't be held accountable for other people's actions, but you do need to understand that your actions do have consequences and also do have an impact on others. Disclaimer's done. I'm done disclaiming, okay? I know. The first person we're talking about today is Zhanna Samsonova. Zhanna, who was originally from Russia, promoted her raw vegan diet to her, at the time, 10,000 followers on Instagram. I did just check and it looks like she has over 40,000 followers on Instagram now, which is weird. Why do people get more followers after they die? It's a whole Gabby Petito situation again, which is so weird because it's why are you guys following the account of the dead person? They're not going to post. What are you doing? What's going on here? Also, Gabby Petito's boyfriend's parents should be in prison. I'm going to die on that hill. Don't mind if I do. Uncle Reggie here. It's me. I'm back. Now, if you know anything about something, you know that the internet is trying to get into your brain. So you got to watch out where that information comes from. Big media is trying to get to you. Just look at me. They already got to me. They got me wearing makeup. And now I know Chelsea talks about schemes. The biggest scheme of them all, X. No, not one of them sites. The one that used to be the Twitter. Just announced its 2025 roadmap to become the everything app. What's that mean? We're talking TV services. We're talking that Elon Musk doing everything. Payments, articles, words, pictures, who knows what else. Now let me repeat myself. That Musk fella with his newfound government position would have unprecedented control over social media, TV, and our monies. And yet absolutely no one on the left is talking about it. I went over to Ground News. Y'all know Chelsea had Wiggum set me up with it. He's just the best. And I found over 60 sources talking about this, talking about that Musk fella. And they're all talking about cryptocurrency's integration. Since he's been talking about that Dogecoin for years. He's been hyping it up. Now, I don't know about any Dogecoin, but if you go down and keep scrolling and scrolling, you'll see how the different sides are spinning it. Chalking it up to WeChat's success in China, while the other side of reality is pointing out how centralized mobile services under one company raises concerns about data privacies, monopolistic controls. Oh, that guy with the little monocle? Monopoly. It's a real thing. Did you know that? And potential surveillance risks. What are you doing? I'm just trying to help. I leave for a minute. Well, you weren't here doing your job telling them. No, I went to the bathroom. Okay. I'll leave. No, I'm taking the chair with me. I'm taking Wiggum with me, too. I'm sure by now you know this is a Ground News ad read, so I'll just try to pick up where he left off, I guess. Ground News is my go-to news platform and one of my favorite sponsors. Not only Are they trying to help me with Uncle Reggie? Did you see that tinfoil baseball cap? Like what's going on? But they were also founded by a female former NASA engineer who saw a much bigger problem here on Earth other than, up in space or wherever you think the aliens are. And they're the only app out there helping you think for yourself and see all sides. By gathering articles from thousands of sources around the world, organizing them by story, then analyzing the political lean, credibility, and even financial incentives behind each perspective, Ground News makes it easier for me and you to compare coverage and think critically. Follow your favorite topics, and maybe you'll find angles that you haven't even looked at or thought of before, thanks to their blind spot feed. And that surfaces more important news from the right and the left media bubble, because news that you are missing affects you just as much as news that you are seeing. That's a bar right there. Go to ground.news/cc or click the link in my description box to sign up for the plan that I use every day. You'll save 40% off of their Vantage plan, and that knocks down the cost to just $5 a month. Anyways, back to Zhanna. Her friends have told the media that she had not consumed water in 6 years before her death. Instead, she would drink fruit juice and vegetable juice. Her mother said that Zhanna died from a cholera-like infection that was made worse by her restrictive diet. The official cause of her death was not revealed, but her friends have speculated it was due to her extreme diet. Friends also said that she refused to get medical attention before her death and described how she was bedbound and struggled to walk. In an Instagram post from June 2021, Zhanna said, "Green juice is my vaccine. Juices of fruits and vegetables are pure gifts from Mother Nature and the most natural way to heal your body and make yourself whole again. I always used to say one juice a day keeps the doctor away." Girl, you're not going to the doctor, it keeps the doctor away. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's wild when we have this type of digital footprint, an instance like this, and obviously about Jessie Lee Ward too. We'll talk about her, don't worry. It's just so crazy that we have like these things to look back on, and like a true timeline, so to speak. Obviously, these people aren't reliable narrators, but it's like time capsules, kind of. It's very, very fascinating. The food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. For me, green juice is something that I really try to have every day or make every day. Green juice helps detoxify your body from the toxins. Again, I don't understand this. The MLM boss babes say this type of shit all the time where, and obviously like we see where it got this lady, but these people are like, oh, well, you have to like detox. And it's like, but you say that you're constantly not like ingesting anything bad. So why are you having to detox if what you're putting in your body, probably these MLM products that you're selling, are so great and like you eat perfectly? And it's like, then what are you detoxing? Where's the gap there? I don't understand. Also, you know what our body has? Just like a swimming pool, hopefully, it has a filtration system. Your kidneys, those things, and your liver, and like 3 other things. That's your body's filtration system. Your body detoxes and it does that for you. Obviously to like a certain degree. If you're butt chugging alcohol or butt chugging coffee, it's probably not going to do that. Despite the potential downsides of Samsonova's diet, many of her devoted fans refused to believe that her eating choices led to her death, instead claiming that she was killed by the chemicals in the fruit that she ate. But she died on July 21st, 2023, and she was only 39 years old.
Avocado celery. Do you see it? Creamy avocado, tomato cherries, single hello, mono, ranch, no salt, no oil, no nuts.
Now, someone who was referenced quite a bit when it comes to, I don't even know how to describe it other than just like a dumb decision, just so dumb. And I can understand that getting a cancer diagnosis is tough. That's real tough. That's hard. Yeah, I completely understand that. However, just waiting months and months and months to even start treatment when like your oncology team has already said that like, yeah, babe, you'll be Gucci in like 4 months if we just start now. Obviously, they didn't say it like that. I would hope not. But I'm talking about Steve Jobs, the guy, the smelly guy in the turtlenecks. Steve Jobs had a rare but treatable form of pancreatic cancer, a neuroendocrine tumor. Instead of opting for immediate surgery, he tried alternative medicine, including special diets and acupuncture. By the time he turned to conventional medicine, the cancer had progressed significantly. Because Jobs was an influential, brilliant figure, his trust in alternative treatments gave them credibility in the public eye. His choices reinforced the belief that mainstream medicine is unnecessary if you are disciplined enough with with natural methods. Now, before Steve Jobs died in 2011, he did say that he regretted not going ahead and just having the surgery and having it removed. And he's quoted to saying, "I didn't want my body to be opened. I really regret it. So sad." It's like, yeah, you don't want your body to be opened, but like, it's either that or dead. So like, what do you... You know, and obviously, again, I haven't been in that situation yet. I have been like adjacent to it, but the test results say I will be in that situation though. So after we have a second kid, I gotta have everything scooped out and cut off. And then mama gonna get new boobies. It's all about remaining positive, you know? Now, someone that I feel like we don't talk about enough when it comes to this topic is, or maybe y'all do and I just don't, but Suzanne Summers. You know, that blonde bombshell from Three's Company. She was in Three's Company, right? Suzanne Summers was a huge advocate for alternative treatments and bioidentical hormones. She battled breast cancer for decades, often rejecting conventional treatments. While she lived longer than most people with her condition, she ultimately passed away in 2023. She drew criticism for urging women to defy not gravity, but the medical establishment itself. She revealed that she had skipped chemotherapy against the advice of her doctor. She also championed potentially risky bioidentical hormones, which she touted as a more natural alternative to pharmaceutical treatments for menopause. Summers went on the Oprah Winfrey Show, which, you know, nothing good happens there, to describe an elaborate daily routine, which involved injecting hormones into her vagina. Yep. And taking 60 pills a day in an effort to remain young looking and sexy. So really, before Gwyneth Paltrow, there was Suzanne Summers. And yes, we can lend this craziness to the pressure that society puts on women. I mean, God forbid women age. God forbid we have a wrinkle. God forbid we have crow's feet, which means that we've smiled once in our life. It's truly crazy, but like injecting hormones into it in there, ma'am? Wow, that's crazy. Not only promoting that, but then doing that when you are someone who is battling cancer, that's got to be doing something to it, right? She became an influencer on menopause before being an influencer was even a thing. Obstetrician gynecologist Dr. Jen Gutner wrote on her blog, Summers almost single-handedly vaulted a fringe, untested medical hypothesis into the mainstream. Taking hormone supplements obviously has risks, but even more so when you are someone who is actively, currently, like that is you, battling a specific type of breast cancer that is fueled by estrogen. In her books and media interviews, Summers also championed alternative medical providers, including one who sell unproven or discredited therapies. One of those providers being Dr. Brzezinski, a Houston oncologist who was disciplined by the Texas Medical Board for misleading terminal cancer patients and failing to disclose potential risks associated with his treatment. I think that Suzanne Summers is I don't want to say a good example, but an example of the type of person who will tout all of these and promote all of these like supplements and woo-woo alternatives, but then, and maybe for some reason, I don't think it has anything to do with those supplements and stuff and weird treatments that she did, but for some reason, she like lasted longer. To speak super morbidly, but her cancer killed her slower. And sometimes that happens. But there are people who will do these different types of alternative medicines and treatments and then say like, because of my diet, now I'm healed. But a lot of times what they're doing is partaking in, you know, this type of whatever book or whoever they learned this from or whatever. And it was actually depicted very well in the Apple Cider Vinegar limited series as well, because when the mom of the like opposing character, who's based after someone that we're about to talk about in a second, but the mom was asking the woman who like ran this this woo-woo place. She ran this place and she's like, yeah, I read your book, but it says in there that like while you're doing the treatment and like, you know, you're fasting and juicing and doing coffee enemas and all this other bullshit, but then it says like you don't do any scans. And she's like, yeah, because you know how much damage those machines do to you. And it's like, ma'am, I'm riddled with cancer. I'm pretty sure I'm on my way out. Like an MRI ain't gonna kill me. Like, what are you talking about? It's so infuriating. It's so crazy. I think one reason why I do get so mad about it too is because there were so many people not when my dad had cancer, because I don't think anyone even wants to talk to him. He's great, love him, but like, oh God, you don't want to talk to him about it. My mom's more outgoing. But when my mom had breast cancer, had to have a complete full double mastectomy, bitch, armpits and all, like full upper body, basically. They let her keep her arms. That's basically it. But like, there were so many people who were like, oh, you know, you can just like pray it away, right? And it's like, y'all believe you can pray the gay away and the cancer away? Like, that's not how this works. What's going on? And then also people saying like, oh, well, just like positive thoughts will like get you through it. And she's like, pretty sure this chemo and radiation is going to get me through it. Like, what are you talking about? And it was just so disrespectful and like so hurtful and infuriating. And I 100% wanted to like fight multiple people. Again, not trying to like bring it back to me, but of course I always want to give a little bit of context of like why I think this way about a certain situation and why I have the opinions that I do. Obviously, you're allowed to have your own opinions too, but like spreading medical misinformation is not allowed. We do not do that here. Thank you. Okay, it's time to talk about Dolores. Although Dolores Cannon is not an influencer, obviously in like the traditional sense, she was a major figure in the alternative healing space, promoting quantum healing hypnosis technique as a cure for illness and, yes, even cancer. Dolores claimed, stay with me, that you could access your higher self by doing hypnotherapy, or like her special kind of hypnotherapy. Did I just call it hypmo? Her special type of homotherapy. So basically, she suggested that by doing her type of hypnosis, you could access your higher self or your subconscious, and through that, receive healing. She promoted the idea that people could heal themselves instantly if they, quote, let go of their emotional blockages.
I have many doctor friends, and I respect them. I know they're only doing what they are taught, but many of them are beginning to question it and move over to the other fields. They said there's only 2 ways to treat cancer, for instance, and this is with chemo and radiation. In the natural health field, there's over 200 ways of treating different cancers. Why not use these? It's going to be much better for the body anyway. In my work, I have found a lot of cancers are caused by the emotions, by stress, and by holding things inside.
She falsely linked her ideas to quantum healing, claiming that diseases exist in different dimensions and can be erased through hypnosis.
But I found a way to cut out the things that were unnecessary in hypnosis, and I added other things to make it fast and quick, and we go directly to what I call the source of all knowledge.
Now, actual quantum physicists, it's a hard word for me to say, have debunked this and have stated that her use of quantum concepts is misleading and pseudoscientific. You don't say. Now, another reason why I brought up people coming to my mom and other members of my family and saying like, you can just manifest it away, just pray it away, is because maybe they listened to Dolores Cannon, who was very much so of the belief and taught that people manifest diseases based on their thoughts and emotions. If that's true, Dolores, how am I not dead yet? I'm so mentally ill, girl. How am I still here?
You're not supposed to ever be sick. Never. The body is a miraculous machine that has been created to take care of itself and heal itself if we don't interfere. But you make yourself sick. And if the mind is powerful enough to make yourself sick, it's also powerful enough to heal you. First, we got to find out why. Why did you do this to yourself? What were you trying to tell yourself? Every disease is the body talking to you. Now, cancer, most of the cases we have found, is caused by suppressed anger. If the person could just talk about what was bothering them, but they don't. They hold it inside.
This idea, which I'm sure you're putting 2 and 2 together, is very, very similar to the law of attraction, which, hey, guess what, is also bullshit. Can make people blame themselves for getting sick and avoid medical care in favor of, quote, positive thinking. Some of her followers have been said to have delayed or completely refused medical treatment in favor of QHHT, or her spiritual healing.
I have found a way to directly connect to the higher self and let it come through the clients and answer all the questions and do the instant healing. But it's different than what they say it is, because I'm the only one that's doing this and teaching it that I know of.
Okay.
Of how to do this. You get them very, very deep, and you have miraculous results. I only teach it because anything is dangerous in the wrong hands if you don't know what you're doing. So when I'm giving my classes, it's full of safeguards to make sure that they do it correctly. I tell them step by step, follow what I tell them, and then there's no harm to anyone.
Now, there are obviously no scientific studies or proof at all that her methods cure or heal anything. But of course, having, positive thinking, and which can be obviously very hard and understandably hard when you're in that type of situation, but your surroundings, your environment, your vibe, your energy, all that absolutely can, like, if you've just given up, I feel like your body like knows that, right? But again, it's all about having like these types of things, like the emotional and like therapeutic aspect of it in conjunction with chemo, baby, and radiation, or whatever your doctor and your hopefully multiple oncologists suggest. Now, just to be clear, because I know y'all are going to be like, wait, girl, did you just say that the law of attraction is bullshit? Aren't you someone who's like manifesting all the time? I am. I do be doing that. I do think that just how there's a difference between like, I talk to Jesus and God sometimes, all the time. And then like being a Bible thumping, homo hating, kind of like her body, my choice type of turd, right? There's a difference, okay? A lot of the like the secret and like the law of attraction and all that it is utilized, but also weaponized by this type of like pseudoscience, quackery type industry. And then also the network marketing, making money online, scammer type of industry as well, which is really unfortunate because when it comes down to it, if you want something to happen, like, bitch, I have a beautiful vision board over here, like, which I actually need to like, it's framed. I need to like take it out and like take something off and put something back on. Or just like cover one thing with Post-it notes. Cause I'm like, maybe I can just change what the meaning of it means in my brain. I'll just do that instead. But, I'm looking at that every day and I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, and I'm, having that front and center, I'm manifesting that it's going to happen, believing it's going to happen, having a little bit of delusion in there, but also putting in the work for it, but you're putting out that positive energy into the universe, hopefully getting something back, but like doing the work and like extra work and all that towards it, like to make it happen, right? I'm trying to be like Trisha Paytas level manifestation, okay? That bitch is the queen of manifesting. It is like actually scary. And by scary, I mean glorious. So I just want to be clear with that, okay? Thank you. It's so hard when you try to be like silly and goofy, but then also be like, I'm right. This is a fact. It's a tough life I live. So it should be no surprise to you that Dolores is dead. Now, she did die at the age of 83. So it's like she had it on her schedule. It was about time anyways. And the cause of her death isn't like publicly known, which again, you're 83. I wonder what it could be, But again, it's kind of like, okay, well, you also were someone who touted that like, oh, why do we keep saying touted? I hate that. So she was someone who was like, you can get rid of all this, and all health issues and illnesses from getting rid of emotional blockages or paying her more money. I don't know. So I don't know. I guess she had like such a bad emotional blockage that she died. But like I said, there have been no reports of like a sudden illness or anything like that. She was old as shit, right? It's not that old actually, but still, you're turning the corner, you're opening the door, like you can see what's the finish line. God, this is a morbid ass video. Listen, that's the one thing we all have in common, okay? We all die and we're all born. Listen, you're born and then the rest is just drag, okay? I didn't say that. RuPaul said that. So some of her followers have, I guess, kind of been like in denial because that lady got a cult following, but a lot of them, again, have been like in denial that she died and said that this was her transition to like another dimension. It's hard. I don't even want to be like, it's hard to explain. It's not. They're crazy. And they were like, no, she just went to like New Earth or like Earth 2 or something like that. I don't know. It's very interesting. Don't look into it. Don't do it. It's a rabbit hole that you probably will not get out of for hours. And then you're going to look up and it's nighttime. So to bring it back to apple cider vinegar, let's talk about Jessica Ainscough. Jessica is one of the people, but mainly the person who Milla Brooks, I think is what her name was on the apple cider vinegar show. And the showrunners have even said that that character was inspired by multiple people, but her story specifically took more from Jessica's real life. Jessica was an online editor of the magazine Dolly and was diagnosed with an epithelioid sarcoma. I did a good job pronouncing that. Probably not. It's probably an oncologist watching who's like, bitch, you are dumb. Doctors suggested she have her arm amputated. However, she did initially try chemotherapy first. When this didn't work, she then began treating her cancer with an unproven treatment called Gershon therapy, which involves daily coffee enemas, a vegetarian diet, and dietary supplements. Jessica ended up leaving her job at Dolly and grew a following when she started sharing her experience with Gershon therapy online. Jessica was warned that the treatment likely wouldn't have been able to save her life, meaning the amputation. Basically, my case was terminal, and they told me I was probably going to die by the time I was 25, she said. It's no surprise to anyone, but Jessica did not heal herself. At the age of 29 in 2015, Jessica Ainscough died. Now, Jessica's story is definitely one that reminds me and a lot of other people of Jessie Lee Ward. I'm going to be surprised if I get through this part without crying. Commonly known as I'm Boss Lee on social media, Jessie Lee Ward was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer in March 2023, and told by top oncologists at MD Anderson, one of the best oncology hubs in the US, that without conservative treatment, she would be dead by Christmas. Now, as she discusses in a video that we're about to watch, again, it's crazy that like all of this is documented and super morbid, but in March, she received test results, blood work, pathology, whatever, that showed that her colon cancer or the polyps or something, it had spread to her stomach. And then she says that it had spread like upwards and then that it was like over here too. So it was just her torso, it was riddled with cancer.
So I was diagnosed as stage 4 when my pathology came back from surgery and and this was March 2023. So I was diagnosed with colon cancer February 17, 2023, diagnosed as stage 4 because it had metastasized here, and in my stomach, which is far from the colon, in March after pathology came back from surgery. And I made a decision because every oncologist that I spoke to was talking to me about quality of life and was talking to me about how there's absolutely no cure for this. So 34 years old, told there's no cure, was actually told by a doctor at MD Anderson, who I've never said his name publicly, but I really feel like I want to. He death sentenced me. He told me that I was going to be dead in 6 to 8 months if I do nothing, which means I definitely would. So I would be dead probably by October. And my prognosis was definitely that I would not see Christmas. Then I went to another doctor as well who said essentially the same thing. There's no cure, there's no cure, there's no cure, there's no cure. Was also told that if I were to take Folfox and Avastin, it would be my best chance of living for 2.5 years.
Now, Jessie Lee Ward had been quoted saying that she's anti all of that, meaning chemo, radiation, and conservative treatment in general. And that she didn't even get her dog chemo when her dog had cancer. And she said that she took a holistic route with her dog. And it's just like, girl, you're a human, not a dog. So if you are possibly new to my channel and you were not around during that era, I guess, if we have eras on my channel. This sounds crazy to say, but there was a time on my channel when not only was I public enemy number 1 for Money, the multi-level marketing company that sells shampoo and false dreams, but I would say I was the public enemy, or like my nemesis would have been Jessie Lee Ward. And I made so many videos about her and like reacting, just crazy shit that she would do, and like the false promises and the false information, not only regarding medical shit, but like for years before that, I made a good amount of videos about her, not even just specifically about her, but like including her as well, where she would just say the most out-of-pocket things regarding multi-level marketing that were 100% false and manipulating people. And then, you know, talking to people who had previously been in her downlines. And I had even hinted that I was going to be, not even hinted, I said that I was going to be doing a deep dive video on her. And before I even put the video out, she sent me a cease and desist. And I had always said after I received that cease and desist that I was going to frame it. And this was before I hit 100,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, where you are now. Hi, we're both here. And I had always said, when I finally get my 100,000 subscriber plaque, I'm going to have this cease and desist, the most poorly written bullshit excuse for a cease and desist, framed. I'm going to put it right next to it and hang it in my office. It's not hung, but she's right there. Now, keep in mind, by the time I put that there, she had already passed away. It had been like a year since she passed that like I had already put that up. But some people were like, oh, it's tasteless. I was like, she would have fucking loved that. Woman was a clout goblin. She would have loved it. Absolutely would have loved it. And listen, I feel like Miss Lady, wherever she is, would have been very disappointed in me if I didn't frame it, because that is some that she would have done too. Needless to say, Jessie Lee Ward and I had a very interesting parasocial relationship with each other. It was very weird. But now that you have a little bit of my lore with her, let's actually talk about who the heck she was. So Jessie Lee Ward was a top-ranking distributor in the multi-level marketing company Prove It, which I'm sure is not thriving with her now. And that company sells ketone drinks and powders and supplements that they claim put you into ketosis, which is obviously very false, because if that were true, no one in the company would have an ounce of fat on them. Which, hey, that's not true. That's not me calling the distributors overweight or fat or anything like that. It's just like, you have fat on your body, but you drink 47 of these drinks a day. The ketones ain't ketoning, if you know what I mean. Apparently the drinks just like make you shit your pants. I already do that enough. I don't need to do that. Jessie Lee was loud, manipulative, obnoxious, and in my opinion, a cult leader.
And then I started researching. It was stuff like, I'm actually using this as a book I'm leaning it up against. It was reading about Gerson therapy. It was reading everything from crispy cancer. It was watching documentaries. It was finding people on the internet who have cured themselves from stage 4 colon cancers. Excuse me. And did not use the traditional oncology route of standard of care, which is your surgery, your chemotherapy, your radiation. And so I just decided to make radical life choices and let my body heal. I have the understanding that dis-ease is caused by a lot of stressors, a lot of anger, a lot of environmental factors, toxins, etc. And I just committed to switching to a lifestyle that is completely different than how I had been living.
If you would like to see any of the videos I made about her, I have almost every single video. I'm pretty sure it's almost every single video that I ever made about her in a playlist in my description box. You know what? I'll actually go ahead and add in some other ones that I think are pretty helpful as well to like understand more about her, because I think that's important. Listen, if we're going to talk about her, we better do her justice, okay? I want you to know how obnoxious she was, how loud she was after she got her veneers, how much she like sucked her teeth. It's crazy. Anyways, she did receive more before getting cancer. And this was right before, well, not right before getting it. I guess she already had it. She just didn't know. Right before finding out that she had cancer, she had some of her like top ranking teammates, the people under her. She took them on a retreat. And on this retreat, she told them, we're going to go on a hike, and like basically told them like, we're just going to go on a mile hike. Well, it was not a mile hike. It was like a 30-mile hike. I don't remember how long it was. We'll put something on the screen that shows how long it was. It was very culty, allegedly made them like walk back to wherever they were going or came from barefoot, then like swim in the dark. And it's like, girl, that's when sharks eat. What are you doing? Could not be me. Listen, unless I'm in a pool and I'm skinny dipping, I ain't swimming at night. I live in Florida. I know what happens. It's a lawless swamp down here. So thankfully with a lot of these types of people, I don't know if it's their ego or them wanting to, I don't know, like gain attention for it. It's very confusing to me. I'm sure it's confusing to y'all too. I mean, that's why a lot of times we do find it so fascinating. Like she would refer to it as terminal, but then she would say that she's healing her cancer and she's on a healing journey. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's very confusing. And with other people, obviously it is as well. And that's where I think that she is very, very similar to Jessica Ainscough in that way, which we can't include it or else we'll get copyright claimed, but not striked, but claimed, which it's fine because this video is sponsored anyways. But with Jessica the character that is inspired by Jessica in the apple cider vinegar show, she had been saying like she needs to help her mom like cure her cancer too. And, you know, she needs to do all this work. And, oh, well, I need to take you to here. I need to, you know, take you to they call it like the Hirsch Institute. It's obviously inspired by like this other place as well, or this other method. And unfortunately, that part is also inspired by Jessica's story and her mom. So Jessica's mom, Sharon, was diagnosed with breast cancer and followed her daughter's treatment plan using Gershon therapy and not conservative treatments. And sadly, she passed away in 2013. So it does really seem like a lot of people at the end of the road here when, you know, you're just dealing with a lot of guilt of like what I should have done instead. And now it's too late. And I really do think that Apple Cider Vinegar, the show, does do a great job at illustrating that. And right when I saw that one scene where she like shows her dad, like, listen, my cancer has come back. I am not healed. I'm a bullshit artist. You know, my mom followed what I did and died. And it's my fault, which is what she says in the show. I'm not saying that Jessica believed that, but it does a great job of illustrating that. And allegedly, I've heard from multiple people who were friends of her and like from Jessie Lee Ward's hometown, I believe, people who were like at her first wedding. So I'm not stating this is a fact. And I know she's already passed. She can't, you know, say I'm defaming her or anything, and neither can anyone else or a court of law or whatever. But I just, you know, want to be respectful. So like I said, multiple people that I have talked to, people in her family. I've talked a little bit to her brother and her mom. I think it was last year. I can't imagine the grief, anger, all that they feel towards that industry as a whole that really just used and abused her, in my opinion, and the opinion of many people, until literally like her last week took money from her, which is so messed up. Ugh, if I could go back in time and just shake her. If I could go back in time like 5 years and be like, go get a scan, go get a colonoscopy and get a camera up your butt instead of an enema and get these like polyps removed because you have a genetic mutation, you know, but we can't do that. And if we could, I'd probably go back and, you know, strangle baby Hitler. Wow, Chelsea. All right. Anyways, it's a complex video. I don't know why it's like so hard for me to like say this, but I know I haven't said it much, but according to a few sources that are allegedly, reportedly, whatever, all the protective language close to her and her family, knew her for a long time and knew, you know, her ex-husband and all that, they stated that she was regretting her decisions not to, you know, do conservative treatments because she did do surgeries, multiple surgeries where she had, you know, tumors removed and, you know, parts of her upper and lower intestine removed, like a certain like a big amount of it removed, but yet wasn't going to go through chemo and radiation, which is crazy because it's like, girl, it's spread. You can't, like you can survive that, but with treatment. but you can't just have it removed from all over your body. That's not really how that works, you know? So that's really hard. And rewatching these videos of her, I'm about to cry again. It's just so sad. I'm wiggling my nose so that I don't cry. I don't know why that just worked, but it did. Life hack. So trigger warning, this is extremely sad and you're gonna cry.
Hey, it's Jessie Lee. Nothing's really happening, but I figured I should definitely document this. Didn't feel like it was an Instagram story. And I feel like I update TikTok. My vision's so blurry from crying. I feel like I update TikTok more than anything on this colon cancer stuff. So I don't have a will, but I have a lot of stuff, a lot of assets. I'm very blessed to have a lot of businesses and a lot of wealth. And the only reason I'm crying is because I'm filling out my questionnaire for my will. And I'm listing beneficiaries and stuff, and I really don't feel like I'm dying, right? Like, I'm not dying. Yet here I have to fill this out, and I wish I had filled it out years ago. Before any of this happened, because then maybe it would have been a little less this. Anyway, if you have kids, you should have a will. If you have successful businesses, you should have a will. And if you have any kind of disease that could kill you, you should definitely have a will. This not killing me, though. All I have so far as a beneficiary is my big brother and his son. Okay, I gotta go.
Anyways, so her will was never finalized, which is so sad. But again, that I think plays into the whole denial and delay of processing those emotions, you know? In her final TikTok post on or around September 5th, Jessie Lee said she was still in her holistic healing journey, but had been posting less because she was in pain. At the same time, she shared that she received good news from her most recent PET scan.
So I got really good news today, everybody. So my doctor called me and he said that many of my lymph nodes have gone back to their original size with no evidence of disease in them. The ones that still remain have decreased in size. There is no mass on my right ovary anymore. That is literally gone. So praise God. And he says, just schedule another PET scan in about 6 months. I'll see you then.
And I remember this one specifically. It was wild. You could tell she was not herself, meaning she was not her alter ego in this video. And she's holding her stomach and you could see how much pain she was in. And then she starts talking about this PET scan that she got from some German doctor. And she's like, yeah, and he said that this is, working and, my cancer is getting smaller. And it's what? Is it getting smaller or is it doing the metastasizing thingy? I don't even know how to describe it. How do you describe metastatic cancer to a child? Well, it's when you have a dandelion and you blow the dandelion and the seeds go everywhere. Literally what my mom told me when I was little, except for I wasn't little. I was 22. Oh, Lord. Why'd she describe it like that? I feel like she literally just talked to her doctor and she's describe it to me like I'm 5. Oh, Linda, she's the best. So that was sad. I think did she have false hope up until the end? Is that what was happening? It was awful. So she did that live stream and unfortunately people still believed her, which was fucking crazy. So dumb. And then the following week, there were posts saying we need prayers for Jessie Lee Ward. She's in the hospital. She's not doing good. And it's okay, this is the end. This was the timeline the doctor gave. Which is crazy, how accurate they can be with that. Oncologists, they do be witches, right? And then about 10 days after that post about her going to the hospital, she unfortunately passed away. Now, not to be morbid, but to stop crying. This next one is absolutely, again, not to be morbid. I'm sorry. This is one of, I don't want to be it's my favorite one. None of these are my favorite. I hate all of these. But this specific story is one of the most fascinating ones out there, in my opinion. Buckle up, kid, because we need to talk about, I'm not going to call her a doctor. She does not get that title from me. About Linda Hazard. Badass last name, horrible human. Linda Hazard was a notorious quack doctor, not an actual doctor, not a duck doctor either, but also just not an actual doctor, who promoted extreme fasting as a cure-all for diseases. She ran a health clinic in Washington state where multiple patients starved to death under her care. Ironically, she developed cancer herself, because it sounds bad, but it's this is karma. This is what you get. And when I tell you more about what she did, you're going to be oh, that 100% was karma. Things you manifest can be good or bad. She got what she deserved. But there's a twist at the end that's truly crazy. So she developed cancer herself. And this is the part that gets me. She fasted in an attempt to cure her cancer, but then she just died of starvation like a month later because you can't not eat. That's not how that works. So I actually do have a video about this on my channel when, I tried to do true crime videos and then I was like, better not. I think it's a well done video. I could literally tell you the story like the back of my hand. I say it's amazing. It's not amazing, but like storytelling wise, it's fucking crazy. So aspects of this that are wild, I'm just going to go through them real quick. But if you want to watch that video, it's in my description box. I'll have a few other things linked. Maybe I'll just have a Google Drive of like sources and shit. Or maybe I'll just put it in the description box. I don't know. Who knows? So she was not a licensed doctor, but she took advantage of a loophole that allowed her to practice as a fasting specialist. But then somehow through this loophole, she was like grandfathered in that like, hey, you didn't actually go to medical school. Well, hey, guess what? Now because of this, this, and this, like you are a doctor now? What in the 1840s? Like, what are you doing? It was like the 1920s, 10s, something like that. This lady was ancient, okay? Either way, this woman was insane. She claimed, I'm not laughing. It's not funny. It's crazy. It's not haha funny. It's, oh my God, what's happening? Please stop funny. So she claimed, like almost all these people, that fasting could cure everything. Girl, the only thing it's going to cure is you being alive because you got to eat. What are you doing? So from tuberculosis to cancer to mental illness, clearly didn't cure her of that. Many wealthy patients signed over their assets to her before dying from starvation because she would starve them. At least 15 people are known to have died under her care, though the number is suspected to be a lot higher. One of her most famous victims was Claire Williamson, a British woman who weighed only 50 pounds at the time of her death. For context, that's how much my bulldog weighs. That's crazy. That's like what, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old? Wild, man. So wild. Survivors reported being locked up, emancipated, and tortured. In 1912, she was convicted of manslaughter for the death of Claire Williamson and sentenced to 2 years in prison. 2. In the 1930s, Linda Hazard developed cancer and, being nothing if not consistent and true to her beliefs, attempted to cure herself through fasting. But of course, that's not how that works. And in 1938, as we already said, she died by self-induced starvation, which good. Now, it's wild to think like this person was one of the first known instances of a wellness guru. That's why I wanted to like end this off with her. And she pushed extreme and obviously dangerous health practices. But as we've still seen today, fasting as a cure and as a treatment is still pushed or promoted by some idiots today. And obviously there is a difference between going on like a liquid diet or like fasting prior to surgery or like right after surgery, because obviously with that you are under medical supervision. So don't try me on that, because under one of my videos, this video, the comment section under this video make me want to bash my head up against my desk, and not in a silly, funny, goofy way, in a spooky way, because dear God, these people are all idiots and they're going to end up like this lady. It's truly crazy. But fasting and liquid diets for the purpose of getting skinny or losing weight, like that's not, no. Again, a religious purpose is different. I also like don't agree with that. But with that, like it's during like when the sun's up. It's not like all the time. What are you doing? Anyways, still, we don't do that in this household. Now, again, the reason why I wanted to end that off, that list of people and all that off with Linda Hazard, was because hers was like one of the most dark tales and examples of how this type of medical misinformation can really exploit people, take advantage of people who are scared and vulnerable and in a really dark place. But those people are, when you're emotionally vulnerable like that and like not a great place in your life or in a good situation, you are more vulnerable to being taken advantage of, not only financially, obviously, but by someone who's saying like, I have all the answers and I have the solution, and like making other people or like the people who maybe gave you like the bad news, the enemy, and things like that. And it can really get a cult-like following, and it's super scary. And this entire type of industry, the like alternative medicine, holistic bullshit as a cure for cancer, absolutely, in my opinion, has a cult-like following. And not to, quote Amanda Montell, one of my favorite authors, like of the book Word Slut and Cultish, and her other one she just came out with. I haven't gotten it yet though. I need to. It's very good apparently. I like everything she writes. But she's even said everything can be culty. Everything and anything can have like doesn't mean like the entire thing, the entire genre, or everyone who likes, CrossFit is in a cult, but certain groups, yeah, it can be treated like a cult, right? And this is definitely something like that. So don't be, yelling at someone who is, trying to like live more of like a naturally based life Don't try to accuse them of being in a cult or like starving themselves or, going against medical stuff, but there's a very fine line. According to a review published last year in JCO Oncology Practice, the internet has led to an increase in cancer-led misinformation. Many more cases exist of influencers or wellness gurus pushing pseudoscience that led to devastating outcomes, either for themselves, as we've seen, or for the people who followed them. It's a dangerous trend, especially in the influencer space, where personal anecdotes are often used instead of actual science. Now, holistic medicine, as a complementary approach, can support cancer patients by improving quality of life, but there is no scientific proof that holistic or alternative medicine alone can cure cancer. Now, here is what science says, okay? Like I just said, complementary treatments and therapies alongside conventional treatments. That's the key there. Like acupuncture, physical therapy, massage therapy, meditation, yoga, aromatherapy, certain dietary changes, like getting your body not only physically like healthy and like where it should be and like strong by eating right, exercising, not drinking a bunch, not doing drugs, right? Obviously prescription medication, calm down. Please do not get off of your prescription meds. And doing those types of things and then making sure like your noggin is okay and your mental health and your environment and all that. That's great. Doing all that ain't gonna hurt. If anything, it's gonna help and make it to where your body can, possibly bounce back better from chemo and like help to fight it, like with chemo, right? But essential oils aren't gonna get rid of your like bronchitis. Okay, Stacy? A steroid prescription from your doctor probably is. I say as I've had like a little cough for like 2 months. Studies overwhelmingly show that patients who reject conventional treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, in favor of natural or alternative treatments have significantly higher death rates. A 2018 study of the National Cancer Institute found that cancer patients who reject conventional treatments in favor for alternative therapies were 2.5 times more likely to die. A 2017 Yale study found that patients with breast, lung, or colon or rectal cancer who used only alternative treatments had a 5 times increased risk of death compared to those who followed conventional treatments. The National Cancer Institute and American Cancer Society both emphasize that while some holistic therapies can help manage symptoms, they should never replace evidence-based cancer treatments. Now, one thing I do want to touch on as well is the anecdotal evidence aspect of this, because listen, unless you got stats and statistics that are specifically regarding exactly what we're talking about, what you're saying is irrelevant and potentially dangerous to use as proof. Now, some people like Suzanne Summers, who's injecting hormones into her cooter. What? Just get Botox. What's going on? I'm scared. Could you imagine walking in on that? Like, what are you doing? Anyways, so some people do outlive, like Suzanne Summers, outlive their prognosis, meaning the people who like don't want to do chemo, they outlive their expiration date, if you want to be morbid about it. And unfortunately, that can lead other people to believe that chemo is unnecessary for themselves, which it's like, hey, your cancer is probably different. Your body is 100% different because we all have different bodies and our bodies fight things off differently. And like, what are you doing? However, just like how I kind of said before, it might just be a slow growing cancer that someone has, or it could be, I don't want to say like this is so rare and like speak out of turn, but some cases it could be maybe a misdiagnosis. And I know this is crazy to say in the healthcare infrastructure of the US right now, because that's where I am in the US, but please always get a second opinion. Please, for the love of God, always get a second opinion. So this is actually something that could be misconstrued. So for instance, a study that I'm looking up right now is from the National Library of Medicine, and which great resource, but when you're looking up these studies, like you have to read them, okay? You can't just read the headline. Good God. Okay. Because sometimes like the studies they do, they're wrong. And it even says that in there, but like you can lie with studies, okay? And not sound like an MLM boss, babe. So this one, it says misdiagnosis of cancer in primary care, insights from malpractice claims data. So background: in the ambulatory setting, missed cancer diagnoses are leading contributors to patient harm and malpractice risk. However, there are limited data on malpractice case characteristics for these cases. And then they're basically trying to figure out factors identified in missed cancer diagnoses, malpractice claims filed related to primary care, and evaluate predictors of clinical and claim outcomes. So keep in mind, like that would be like your primary care physician, like primary care, your primary care physician. That's not the person who's going to diagnose you with cancer. I might be crazy, but that's not how that works. But what this actual study is referencing and showing is, let me just read this one part. So it says the majority, 76% of misdiagnoses, that's that doesn't mean that 76% of cancer diagnoses are misdiagnosed. It's not what that means. But it says the majority of them involved errors in clinical judgments, such as a failure or delay in ordering diagnostic testing, or a failure and delay in obtaining a consult or referral. These factors were independently associated with higher severity patient harm. The majority of these errors were of high severity, which that sucks. You might be like, Chelsea, that doesn't matter with what we're talking about. This is a great example of like what someone would see, someone who's trying to like tell you like you're being misdiagnosed or like you can't trust doctors, is even just Googling that and then looking at that and landing on this page and saying like, oh, this is a study. And then it's saying that malpractice claims involving missed diagnoses, missed, meaning that the diagnosis was missed, or they waited too long, or they pushed off getting tested, or, you know, there was a pathology error and they had to like do something again, or scheduling error, something was pushed off and then the diagnosis, like the severity of the cancer, you know, got worse and whatever. So like that's what that's referring to. It's not saying that someone said you had cancer and you didn't. Right? My point is that's a lot more rare. Okay. Just want to make that clear. So then there are some people that survive the cancer that they have despite like not getting chemo and all that. But it would be interesting to see like, okay, well, how, like they rejected it. Like they didn't die within a certain amount of time. When did they die? Did their cancer come back? It was probably never gone. It was probably just dormant or just hanging out or just slow growing. And then they died like 10 years later. So it would be really important to see that. But of course, due to the internet, these types of cases or misinformation or a portion of a story or portion of an article, something like that, is amplified and lends validity, unfortunately, to this type of bullshit. Many influencers like Ainscough, Jessie Lee Ward, and hey, even Suzanne Summers promote alternative treatments. And when they die, their followers will often rationalize it instead of accepting that alternative medicine failed them. A great example of this is how still to this day, certain people, shit drives me crazy, and I feel like it's just so disrespectful to Jessie Lee Ward. Not me being the one who's like, you're disrespecting her. But listen, you can disrespect her when she's alive, but when she's dead, I'm just kidding. I've made that point of like, someone being dead doesn't absolve them of their shitty behavior. Absolutely. But let's not try to change history or change the past, right? It doesn't wipe the slate clean. It's sad they died, obviously, but here we are. What happened still happened. There were people on Reddit, there were people on Instagram, TikTok, wherever, that Facebook, that were saying that Jessie Lee Ward didn't die from cancer. She died from like a kidney infection. And it's like, wow, it's almost like her body was shutting down. It's almost like the cancer had spread so much and her organs were failing. Why do you think in some of the absolutely deplorable pictures that her downline were posting, like them holding her hand's yellow? Have y'all never watched Grey's Anatomy or House? Come on. You know that when someone's yellow, it means that they got a bit of the jaundice. It means that their kidneys or liver or whatever, one of those is shutting down. Come on. We know that. But of course, admitting that she was wrong would then, trigger that cognitive dissonance, and they'd have to deal with that of thinking, okay, well, if she was wrong about this, or I was wrong about her, or what she said was a lie, what else was she wrong about? Like I said, it might be ego, it might be denial, it might be wanting some type of control in your life or what's left of your life. Cancer is terrifying, and I don't blame them, but unfortunately, a lot of people do think that going through these traditional and, conventional types of treatments is putting their life in doctors' hands, in the system's hands, or whatever, and maybe don't understand that their doctor has a fiduciary duty to them, meaning they have to do right by them, unlike these idiots on the internet who are telling you to starve yourself. It's weird. So whether it's, giving up that illusion of control or your ego and admitting you were wrong and being embarrassed and having to admit that to potentially the hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people that you have misled and, going out and like not having the final say of that, or if it's just delusion and being a money hungry whore. Who knows? Everyone's different, just like everyone's body is different. Just like all of our bodies would react to and hopefully fight off cancer some type of way, but do it differently. So in conclusion, chemo and radiation works. I understand that, if you have a terminal diagnosis and you're like, just like Jessie Lee Ward, and you're like, I don't want to have a super low quality of life for 2 years. I'd rather just, kind of ball out, for which she didn't do, but she literally worked until her like last day, which is horrible. Absolutely wild. Not her on the bathroom in like fucking Barcelona doing a butt enema, a coffee enema. That was wild. What a time to be a commentary YouTuber focusing on scams, right? Yeah. But like I said, I understand if you're, if that's your case, I mean, sure, get a second opinion. But then, if all those opinions are the same, and if you don't want that, crappy quality of life, I get that. For instance, my paternal grandfather had cancer. I think it was the 8th time that he'd had it. And he was like 80 something, almost 90, I think. I don't remember. But the doctors said, they were like, I mean, the chemo's going to kill you. Like if you try to do it right now, like you're old, your body's not strong. They obviously didn't say it exactly like that. That would be mean. But he was like, okay, guess I'll just hang out for a while. And sometimes that's what you got to do, right? It sucks, but he would have rather just had more time and have it be uncomfortable opposed to prolonging that like withering away, and then still having the same result. But either way, people who do have a chance and don't have that expiration date and that terminal aspect of it, the people who do chemo and radiation and those types of treatment plans do have a significantly higher success rate and survival rate than people who don't. And chemo and radiation is not perfect. Yeah, I shaved my mom's head. I get it. And some cancers and some bodies respond better than others, but over the last few decades, it has gotten a lot better because that's what happens with science and medicine. It progresses. Fear-mongering and misinformation is disgusting. And just because you're scared, you're in denial, you have a giant ego bigger than my boobs, that's no excuse, obviously. And you should still be held accountable for your impact of your actions. And that's gross. If there's anyone currently doing this who, has not met their demise yet, unfortunately, hold on, that sounded really bad. I meant met their unfortunate demise yet. I'm dyslexic, okay? Not me wishing death on people. What's going on? If there's anyone doing this like in real time, please comment about them down below and let's go full Mother of Dragons. Let's go full Mad Queen, Dracarys. Let's go. Let's put them on blast because it's disgusting, it's harmful, it's scary, and it's wrong, and it's not okay. You know what is okay though? Subscribing to my channel. I know this video was like a little bit deeper, kind of. I don't know. I liked it. I like when I get inspired by something that's like a hot topic or like trendy right now in the zeitgeist, if you will, and then having it like expand and like relate into other things that I talk about and other people I've covered before. So I love that. And y'all wanted me to talk about something like this too. Anyways, I appreciate you. If you subscribe, you get a little pep talk at the end of my videos. If you're not subscribed, sign off now, loser. Are they gone yet? It's just us now. Okay. Girl, your butt looks so good. What are you doing? You're all cheeked up on a Thursday. Looking so good. Calm down. I'm scared. You need to calm down. All boned up, all cheeked up on a Thursday. I don't even know. I'm scared. That's how intimidated by your beautiful cheeks I am. Anyways, your butt looks good. Your feelings are valid. Oh, hey, also, I know healthcare is like unattainable and really expensive, but please, for the love of God, I'd rather you be in medical debt than dead. So please go get screenings and imaging and stuff like that done. Okay. Yay for normal pap smears. Ew. Okay. Bye.